So I have returned from Barrie, and I didn't do. Hello. Oh my god. I didn't get an opportunity to videotape everything because, truthfully, I ran out of room on my phone. And when I went to certain places, I walked and it was raining and I didn't bring my laptop and blah, blah, blah. I digress. If you have an opportunity, if you have unhealed trauma and you have issues and you have unresolved stuff, and if you go to a place and it makes you feel a certain way, if you have an opportunity to do this process of going back and, processing the emotions associated with the place and healing that stuff, and or at least getting some kind of awareness around what's going on, like, it's really powerful shit. So the places that I went to Bear Creek, which I posted a video about. I went to St. Joan of Arc. I went to my old house on Wessinger, and I went to Timberwalk. So those four places were really the most powerful. There was a couple other places I went to, like the street where like the house was that I lost my virginity and blah blah blah, but like nothing really stood out too much. It was mostly those four places. And honestly, the only place that I truly felt anything was at Bear Creek and was at my house. Timberwalk, while there are some really crazy messed up memories, I've completely owned the fact that I'm an addict, that I'm a recovered addict, that I'm still kind of an addict, and I'm working through whatever, and I talk a lot about my addiction. I'm very open about it, so it's not something that I feel shame about. And when I went to Joan of Arc, that was the first place that I ever got ecstasy off of somebody. And, I got into a lot of fights and I was bullied at that school a little bit, but ultimately I have really good memories there. I've met like some friends that I have lifelong friends from there. I really love the teachers. I have some genuinely really amazing memories at Joan of Arc. I thought that I would feel something negative, but I didn't. Um, and yeah, so really where there was uncomfortableness or emotion was around my house that I grew up in. That I didn't stay very long though because I didn't want to look creepy just sitting outside the house. And to be totally honest, because I am this kind of person, if there wasn't this COVID situation, I probably would have gone to the door and asked if I could walk around. They would have said yes or no, but like under different circumstances, I would have asked if I could go inside because it would have been crazy to just go in and just have all those memories come rushing back. But what I recognized was the places that made me feel a certain way were represented things inside of me that were not healed yet, and the healing was around shame. And so there's still a lot of shame that I have around my abortion, around the tumultuous relationship that I had with my grandparents, because like as much as I can say they were the parents and they should have done this, and this, whatever, take ownership on their part. Like I had to take ownership too for my actions, and as a teenager, like I was an asshole. And whether or not I was being reactive or responsive to behavior coming at me, it's really irrelevant. Um, and that house was like one of the last places where there was still kind of some innocence in me. And, I do have good memories at that house. And, my grandparents were together. My grandfather was alive. And yeah, it was really interesting. I didn't feel a huge amount of emotion, little things, but it was definitely interesting to just sit and go through. Like I was looking at the window above the garage, and I could just recall all the times that I snuck out, and the fights we've had, and the time she like kicked my friends out and like threatened to kill them and stuff. It's like just crazy shit. But I didn't feel a real way about it. It was mostly Bear Creek. I digress. I feel like if you have an opportunity to go through this process, I highly, highly, highly recommend it because it gave me so much clarity, and I have a deeper understanding of the things that I feel a way about, and I have more clarity on how I can resolve and I can heal those wounds. And for me, healing the wound means exposing the wound. And I talked a little bit in my podcast episode today. Like, a lot of the shame I feel is around my past promiscuity, and all of the times that I searched for love in the wrong places, all the times that I would be with people that I didn't care about. Some of them I didn't even know, just because I needed to feel something. I needed to feel some kind of connection, and I confused sex with love. And you know people would make jokes and like whatever. Every friend group has like their language, and I used to always buy into whatever language, and I would just go along with jokes. And even if they upset me, even if they hurt me, I never set a boundary because I didn't want to make anyone uncomfortable. But I recognize now that a certain language, like making jokes like "a man is a hoe, a whore," blah blah blah, um, it really doesn't fly with me, it doesn't sit with me anymore, and I feel a great amount of shame around it. And it's because you know women are so demonized and penalized and made to look so bad for having like multiple sex partners and having a lot of people that they've been with. And like, you guys have to understand, yes, sure, there's women out there that feel empowered and they're single and they want to go sleep around, like sleep with other people and whatever. I don't personally feel that that's true. I think sex is absolutely a sacred act. I think it's a beautiful experience that should be shared with someone that you at least care deeply for. Like, you're exchanging powerful energy, and it's a very special thing. I feel that way now, but I didn't always feel that way. And so, you know, I feel like women and men that are just sleeping around and having aimless sex, mindless sex, you're devoiding yourself of soul nourishment, in my opinion. And truly, when I look back at all of the ways that I betrayed myself, with all the people I betrayed myself with, I feel a lot of shame around it. And I don't open up about this because I am fearful of judgment. And, you know, I have people from the gym that follow me on social media, and some of them watch my stuff, and I don't want to talk about something and get labeled like a hoe. And even though it's behavior that's past and I'm not like that anymore, I'm still like caught up in people thinking badly of me. And there is a difference between reputation and character, right? Your character is who you are, and your reputation is just this facade. It's just what you portray to other people, and how you want them to view you is how you act, and it's fake and it's false. And I realized that being up in Barrie and going through the emotions and going through the places and whatnot, I realized that I was trying to maintain a reputation, and I was fearful that if I opened up about that area of my life, that I would be shamed. But I was projecting shame because I felt ashamed. It's a part of me that I haven't healed yet. So, and maybe this is helpful. This is a way that you can look at something in your own life that you do or have done that you don't do anymore. Maybe that you have past shame about. Like, it's already happened. It's in the past. You can't change anything. So there's really no point in carrying negative emotion around with it. So maybe there's something in your life that you did or have done that you could make peace with. And I'm still unpacking a lot of that, because I just know with certain language, like when people make jokes, it really cuts me deeply. And it's not that person's fault. Like, I think like there's a line, and like some people just don't have a line, and it's up to you to create that line and to create that boundary. And then if you create a boundary and they continue to disrespect you, that's a different story. But it's not their fault if they make a joke and you're upset by it. Like, there's always an opportunity to inquire, why does that upset me? And it's a line. There's a disrespect line, and then there's a you're getting offended because it bothers you, because it's something that either is true or was true or is unhealed in you. And I firmly believe that. Because people make jokes about other things that I've, no qualms with, nothing. Maybe it's something I used to do, but I'm over that, and it doesn't affect me. So I noticed that. So maybe there's some things in your life that, because when someone says something to you, like you choose to respond or react a certain way or have an emotion about it, and it has nothing to do with the other person. It has nothing to do with the other person. It has everything to do with you and how you're receiving it. They can yell it, they can whisper it, they can make a joke about it, and it can all be the same language. It's irrelevant. It's all in how you interpret the information and how it affects you based on whether you believe it's true or not, or once was true, or whatever the case is. So that for me was really powerful. And again, this is really uncomfortable for me because a lot of men don't seem to have a problem opening up about their sexual history and saying that they had a promiscuous past and they slept around, because it's like it's a little different. I feel like there's a bit of a double standard there, and I'm not going to get into the male-female double standard, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not upset by it. I'm just noticing it. It doesn't seem to be as heavy as when a woman says, I have a promiscuous past and I've slept around. It's almost like we're dirty in some way. And I don't believe that that's true. Like, yes, there was a period of time that I didn't respect myself. Yes, there was a period of time where I let people touch me I shouldn't let touch me. And if I could go back, I would erase most of those people from my list. If I'm being totally honest. Maybe keep like 3. But it's getting to a level of understanding with that person to say, okay, like, there was a massive amount of time that I didn't love myself. I didn't know what love was. I didn't know how to respect myself. I was never taught how to respect myself. I was never taught how to love myself. And I kept looking for love in all the wrong places. And I was unhealed. I was hurting. I was in pain. And that was a way that I showed that pain, was through that type of behavior. And again, I feel like my stomach's a little upset and my throat kind of hurts. Like, I don't really want to continue talking. And I really don't even want to post this. But I feel like I have to, because we all have a past. And like, I can't think of the word, but the way that we condemn women for having a sexual past. It's like, I don't want to live with that shame. I don't want to hold that shame. And I don't want to I don't want to feel like I've done something wrong because there was a period of time in my life that I didn't love myself. And I'm not asking you to change your views on that area. Like, I'm not saying that you have to change your views. You can think whatever you want. But I'm just hoping that, like, if there are women out there who have had a similar history of multiple partners, of being with people that, you know, didn't love them, they didn't love, whatever the case was, which I think there's a lot more out there than we care to say, because we're so afraid to talk about it. Because we're labeled a whore, and it's a dirty, disgusting word. And if you guys could understand, any person out there who's ever joked about someone being a whore, called them a whore, whether it was a joke or not, like, if you could really understand and feel in that moment the level of shame and embarrassment that that person feels, that it's directed to, you would never say that stuff again. I gotta tell you. It's degrading, it's belittling, it's in poor taste. It doesn't look good on you either. And, like, it's really time to stop that narrative. I'm sick of it, and I'm just letting everyone know. You make jokes like that with me, you're not going to see a good side of me. And it's not that I'm trying to be aggressive. It's that I need to put you in your place, because that's not okay. I'm putting up a boundary and a standard for the way that people speak to me, and that's not okay to joke around and call me a whore. Whether it was true at one point or not. And whether, even if I was still doing it, it's irrelevant. I'm not, but because I have a completely different view on sex. However, I digress. If you could feel how that feels, the amount of shame that at least I feel in the moment when you make that joke, you would never make that joke again. And picture a woman in your life that you love, that had a similar experience, or just saying that to them in general. Like, why is it okay to make jokes with some people, some women, and not with other women? Because you respect those women, you don't respect the other women? And this whole, like, well, I'm not going to respect someone that doesn't respect themselves. just stay the fuck out of their business. Stay the fuck out of their business and don't go out of your way to be hurtful. Period. But, to any woman out there that has shared a similar history, like, I need you to know that I see you and I feel you, because, again, I don't talk about this stuff. I don't talk about this stuff with, if I'm dating someone, I don't talk about this stuff. I had a guy tell me once, like, I would need to know, like, I want to know the woman's sexual history, because if she's, like, slept around a lot, like, I want to be able to make, like, an informed decision to whether or not I want to be with that person. Because I don't want to be, like, walking down the street with her and then, like, all these guys that have slept with her, like, know that they've been with that girl that I'm with, if that made sense. And, like, I guess to some degree I can kind of understand where he was coming from, especially, I mean, I'm not a man, so I don't get that testosterone-y shit. But it also was like, it was hard to hear, again, because there's so much shame around it, and it's just like, you don't get it. Like, you don't get it. Like, do you know how hard it is to admit to that, first of all, and then to have to carry that with you and know that it's all because all of those years you just didn't love yourself. Like, that's hard, that's heavy. And then you're sitting there judging the person, not that person per se, but men, or even other women too. Like, you can't tell me you haven't done some weird, nasty, secretive, risque, whatever the fuck you want to call it, sexual stuff once upon a time. You can't tell me you have never done that. And then to call, my video froze, to call another woman a whore, it's just not acceptable, and it's not okay. So, there you go. There you have it. I fucked up a lot, in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. A lot of things that, in a way, I wish I could take back, but also, it is what it is, and it's past. But going forward, I have very different views on sex. I believe that it's a deeply spiritual experience. Yeah, it feels good, but it's a very spiritual experience, something that should be shared with someone that you deeply care for. It's a sacred thing. You're exchanging energy. But I don't know. I want to say this in a way that isn't coming off judgmental, because it's not judgmental. If you're a woman and you're sleeping around, why are you sleeping around? What do you feel like? You can talk yourself into thinking that there's some kind of empowerment there, but I challenge that thought process. And I challenge it not in a judgmental way, I'm just challenging it. Do you really feel good about it? Do you really feel good about it? Like, we women are nesters, we're nurturers, we're receivers of energy. We're not hunters. We're not in our masculine. Like, men are a different story. I don't know. I'm not a man. I can't speak to that. But as women, do you really feel empowered having multiple sex partners at a time? And if, like, sit with it, and if the answer is yes, question it again and see if the answer is truly yes. Where did you get that belief that that's empowering? And I'm just trying to challenge your thought process, because I don't believe that that's a healthy behavior, personally. And I know that I carry a lot of shame from it, and not to say that I need to project that onto you, but just question. I'm just trying to offer a different perspective based on my own personal experience, right? So question that, like, is that really empowerment? And if it's not an absolute yes, it's a no. So if it's not empowerment, why are you doing it? Why are you really doing it? And, like, it feels good to feel good, and it feels good to feel, desired and wanted and needed. But at what cost? And you can say that you're just in it for the sex, but if you are just in it for the sex, that means that you're out of touch with your emotions. Like, you're not in alignment with your emotions and your true self. You're operating at a basic, at your primal level, which we have a primal level, but we're deeply intuitive, emotional creatures. And there's a highly spiritual and emotional element to sex. So if you're just carnal and primal, that's a level and an aspect, but that's not the entirety of the relationship when it comes to sex. So if you're feeling like I'm on the hunt, I'm blah blah blah, maybe you're a little bit too much in your masculine, but you're also out of touch with yourself. And you're masking certain emotions so you don't have to feel. You're running away from an emotion or you're running towards an emotion, like one or the other, but multiple sex partners is not the answer. So I just want to touch on that too. Again, I'm not judging you. Fuck. So not judging you. Last person to judge you. But I really wanted to speak to this because I'm really sick to fucking death of this narrative, of these jokes calling girls whores and hoes and all this shit. Shut the fuck up. I'm fucking sick of it. Because you have no idea what it's like on our end. You don't know why we're doing the things we're doing. And if you could understand really truly how much shame and pain we carry, you would never say that shit again. So, wrapping it up, that was my biggest takeaway from going to Barrie. I feel like that's where a lot of unhealed stuff sits for me. And there's still a lot of embarrassment and a lot of shame. And again, I really don't want to post this video. I really don't. I'd rather just keep the shit to myself. But I see how much of a block there is there. And maybe by sharing this, someone else will, like the light bulb will go on, or they'll feel supported, or whatever the case is. So, I mean, yeah, that's that. But anyways, if you have an opportunity to go back somewhere in your past, maybe it's your childhood house or your hometown or something, some place that you feel like about, that makes you feel a negative way, maybe you need to go back there and just sit and just see what comes up. And then see where there's blocked emotional blockage there and where there can be some healing done. This is a really cool experience. It's not easy, but you get so much clarity from it. And again, the more clarity you get and awareness you get around yourself and your emotions and your unhealed trauma and your pain, like the less that stuff controls you. Because if we're squashing, and you gotta listen to my podcast, the Authenticity Podcast. You gotta listen to this fucking podcast about when I talk about the trauma blueprints and I talk about addiction, like the less we deal with our issues, the less we deal with our pain, the less we unpack our trauma and really look at it and heal it. Like the stuff that's happened to us, that shit is still controlling us because we're still making decisions by default based on our unhealed wounds. We just may not recognize it, but we make decisions based in fear. We make decisions based in avoidance of certain emotions and certain things because of the trauma that we've experienced, and then beliefs that we've adopted based on that trauma and based on those experiences, so we avoid things. And so you're really defaulting to your life. You're not in control of your life. Your trauma and your unhealed wounds and your pain is in control of your life. And all those people that hurt you, they're controlling your life still. And you're just living that cycle over and over and over again, and you don't even recognize it. You think you're the one in control because you're making the decisions, but you're making the decisions from an unhealed place. So tell me how that's being in control. Sorry. Yeah, it was a very powerful experience. And I feel like if I go up there again, when I go up there again, it'll be, because usually when I go to get up there, I get excited because I'm going to see my friends that I care about very much. But I get this tension and I get this knot in my stomach, and like, believe it or not, there's a weird like touch of like infamy, if that's a word. Like, my friend is getting her kitchen redone, and the contractor or whatever came to quote her, look at the place. He had to go in the basement, and there was a picture of her and I on the stairwell. And he saw the picture of us, and he looked at her, and he's like, "Did you go to Joan of Arc?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he said something about me in the photo, and she's like, "Yeah, that's my friend Amanda." And he's like, "Oh, Amanda Giroux." So like, And every time I'm there, everywhere I go, someone notices me and recognizes me and has something to say about me. And I knew you from high school, and I remember you were this crazy, blah, 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 whatever. So there is this kind of, I have a history there, let's just say. And before, because I wasn't dealing with the pain and the emotions and the shame and the guilt and all that shit, I wasn't dealing with it. So when I go up there and someone would be like, "Is your name Amanda?" And I'd be like, "Fuck." Like, "Or did you go to Joan of Arc?" And I'm like, "Oh." Because I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to deal with you. I don't want to talk about whatever you remember from high school, whatever I did. You know, when I got in the fight with that chick, I threw the garbage can in the hallway, whatever, whatever, whatever. I don't want to talk about that stuff because I was ashamed of it. And that was the most beautiful gift of going up there, is recognizing like it's all shame. Because I was trying to put on this persona or have this reputation when it's got nothing to, it's irrelevant. It's all fucking irrelevant what those fuckers think of me. And my character is what really matters. And the more I heal and talk about this really uncomfortable shit, the more I do that, I completely expose my pain. I face my demons. I befriend my demons. No one has any power over me anymore. So when people go to make those dumbass fucking jokes, it doesn't affect me because I've healed it, because I don't feel a way about it anymore. And that's true to your life as well. When you expose your pain, you see your demons, you sit down with them, you fucking talk to them, and you make friends with them. You unpack all of your bullshit. You lay it out on the table, and you go, okay, this is what I experienced. And you really, really deal with it, and you heal it. You're fucking unstoppable. You're unstoppable. You're untouchable. No one can fucking say shit. There is nothing that you can't tell me because I already fucking know. You can't tell me shit about me. I already know. And now I've been given this beautiful gift of seeing this aspect of my life and my history and my past that I haven't fully dealt with yet. And now I'm going to get through that shit. And then I'm going to be fucking even more untouchable. But a good way to see if you're unhealed is like when people make jokes, again, you choose to get offended. And if you start to get offended or you feel a certain way about it, just inquire. Why did that affect me? Why did that offend me? Why did that upset me? That's probably an area of your life that you need to work on, like an area of unhealed trauma, something that you're still feeling a way about. And again, I can't stress this enough. It's hard work, it's shitty work, it's sad, it's scary, it's fucking lay on the floor, blah, blah, blah. It's embarrassing, it's hard. It's fucking hard. But you don't, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna hide in your little fucking shell? Are you just gonna live like that and then just like poke your head out every now and then? Be like, oh, I'm here for a little while and then I'm gonna go back inside my shell. What kind of life is that? And you don't have to live loud like I do. Like, you don't have to blah, 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 share your stuff with the world. But you need to get right with you. Doesn't, like, you lie to yourself first, then you lie to everybody else. You stop lying to yourself, you by default stop lying to everybody else. And then you're just you, through and through. And anything, it's that old saying, like, I'm rubber, you're glue, whatever bounces off of me sticks to you. Shit just bounces off of you. You're not offended anymore. It's not, being offended is not external, it's internal. Like, you can remove people from your life and maybe be less offended, but those people aren't the problem. They're not offensive. You're just offended because you're allowing those things to get to you for whatever reason. They're insecurities, they're unhealed wounds, they're whatever. You're a little uptight maybe, but letting it roll off your shoulders is getting right with yourself. And the more you get to know yourself, the more you get right with the shit that you've done, the shit you've gone through. Because it's not just the shit that's happened to you, it's the shit you've done to other people. Because we've all bled on other people. We've all hurt people. I have people that still won't to this day, and I've tried over the years to make amends. I have people to this day that still will not speak to me because I was a horrendous person to them. People that I was close with that will not speak with me. don't want anything to do with me. Because that version of me that they experienced was so terrible, they're like, fuck that bitch. And I can't blame them. And they don't owe me anything. So I had to get right with myself, and I had to forgive myself for showing up like a fucking asshole and treating that person really badly. I had to forgive myself. I didn't get that apology, or I didn't get that forgiveness, sorry. Nor did I get to give that apology. So it goes both ways. And we punish ourselves for both. We punish ourselves when we're hurting and have been hurt by others because we hold on to the anger, and then we avoid certain situations in life because we're trying to avoid getting hurt again. Or the flip side, we're full of shame for the way we've hurt other people. We punish ourselves that way. Because whatever we tell ourselves, we believe, ultimately. Because we create our own reality. So it's getting right with both. And the best part about all of this is that all this shit has already happened. So you've already experienced the hardest part. But if you haven't fully let it go, you're reliving it every single day in micro doses. And you're punishing yourself in a bunch of ways. And some of them you probably don't even recognize. Maybe some are apparent, some aren't. And you're letting those people that hurt you take up space and rent in your head and in your heart and in your body and your soul and control you. So unpack your shit. You can do it. And I hope that you will follow my Ricka Get There Amanda. Subscribe to my podcast. Thank you. It's The Authenticity Podcast. Right now we're on Podbean and iTunes. You can follow me on Instagram at AuthenticallyAmandaG. Obviously, there's my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. That'd be totally awesome. I'd love that. It's just going to be real, raw shit. Trauma, addiction, fucking pain, all that shit. All the good stuff. Because that's where the power comes from. That's what I believe anyway. And you can also join my Facebook group, Empowered, Becoming Your Own Hero. And you know what? Friend me on Facebook too. Why not? Amanda Giroux, Giroux. Have a good night, day, whatever, whenever it is that you read this or watch this. And just know that, like, whatever you're fucking afraid of, who gives a fuck? Just fucking do it. Deal with your shit. Handle your shit. The more you hide, the worse it's going to get. The more you hide, the worse it's going to get. Trust me. Then one day you're going to be on your deathbed and you're going to be full of regret. It's going to fucking suck. So deal with your shit now. It's really not that hard, I promise you. It is hard, but it's not hard. And if you want to learn more about all the shit that I do, like, just shoot me an email. Message me on one of the channels that I gave you. You can go to my website at amandagiroux.com. Hit me up if you want to learn more. But whatever you need, like, you're already strong enough. You can totally handle it. You just gotta fucking do it.